principals, teachers, judges, listeners and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants, students, good afternoon. Good afternoon to the persons in the audience and those listening via BDS Nice Radio and VC3 live broadcast. Welcome to the third preliminary session of the St. Vincent South Lion Speakings competition. Let us all stand for the singing of the national anthem as we blend our voices. One, two, three. St. Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee our loyalty and love and vow to keep you ever free. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Haruna, fair and blessed are your mountains, I so clear and green, are home to me, though I may stray, I even come serene. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. All little sister islands are those gems, the lovely grenadine, upon the seas and golden sun, the sunshine ever beams. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Thank you. You may now be seated. No, sorry, keep standing for the invocation. Let's welcome Zamaria. Welcome from the Mountain View Academy to do the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings and for protecting us as we came here, as we traveled here. Thank you for your mercies and guidance. Thank you for sending your guidance angels to watch and protect us and bless us throughout this day and going forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Zamaria. You may be seated. Let's welcome our President, Lion Michael John, MJF, to give some brief remarks. Sorry, this will be done by Lion Junior Bacchus, PMJF.
A very good afternoon to Madam Chair, President of the Lions Club South, Mr. Michael John, our distinguished judges, our today's participants, supporters, teachers, well-wishers, and members of the media. A pleasant good afternoon to you as we once again host the 2025 edition of the National Secondary School Public Speaking Competition. public speaking is a very important part of the national calendar, not just for the Lions Club South, but I must say for the Ministry of Education, as well as the sponsoring company, Flow. The competition happens at this time of the year when we have the National Independence Celebration taking place. So this activity, the preliminaries, the 4 preliminaries, and the final, are all part of our national celebration of our 46th anniversary of independence. The Lions Club has been hosting this activity for over 35 years. We have partnered with those who I mentioned earlier for that period of time. Well, it wasn't Flow. It was cable and wireless in the early phase. Then it became Lime, and then now it is Flow. We also have, I'm a little distracted by the noise, so forgive me. But we also have this activity as one of the flagship projects for the Lions Club family. We see the importance of having our young people engage in this kind of debate. And we have seen over the years the way our young people are able to develop as a result of being a part of this competition, starting with Colin Williams. Don't know how many of you remember Colin Williams, former DPP, former judge, and I don't know which part of the world he is practicing right now, but Colin was the first winner of public speaking when it was that time hosted by the St. Vincent JCs. And we have come right down through all those years with the defunct of the JCs. We retired the Arthur Cornell Trophy, and then we replaced it with the Lion Michael, the Freitas Trophy. So that's the trophy that the schools are competing for, the Lion Mikey, the Freitas Trophy. He actually transferred from being a JC to become a part of Lions, and so he was so passionate about public speaking among our children that he advocated to the Lions Club to continue this competition in recognition of the extent to which it is beneficial to our young people. Those of you who have heard over the last 2 preliminaries, I could see you are doing very well. And those of you, the 4 of you who are here today, can look forward to a very competitive task this afternoon. I must commend the Lion Suzette and her team as part of the organizing committee for doing an excellent job to bring out 20 schools. I have been hosting this competition as the chairperson of the committee, and very rare you will get 20 schools coming out. So I must give them a round of applause for doing such thing. Yeah. But today, you are not just competing to win, but you are competing to win some very important prizes that the sponsor has agreed to put forward to all of you. The school that wins the competition will have the opportunity to get a $3,000 project approved by Flow following your success. The winner of the competition, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, you are going to get sponsorship for your scholarship to your next school that you go to. We had a little challenge last year with the winner getting their prizes sorted out because of some little difficulties with the handing over and the process for settlement. But this year, I must say that the Flow has decided to pass the money on to the Lions Club, and the Lions will manage the scholarship, which is a commendable thing that our president has able to negotiate. So so the schools don't have to worry about going to somebody at Flow who they can't find or something to get their money. Their money has been approved by Flow, will be passed to the Lions Club, and the Lions will manage the process from here on. In addition, Flow has once again agreed to provide you with all the 6 finalists with a cell phone, with some data plan and all other benefits to be a winner, a participant in the finals. So not just the winner, but all 6 participants who get to the finals will be benefiting. So on behalf of the Lions family, I want to say to you that the competition is important to your schools. Your teachers have spent a lot of time, and the teachers, you have to go beyond the call of duty. Many of you, I believe, sat up in the night researching, guiding your students, getting them to practice and so on. So I want to commend the teachers who have supported all the students to come out here this evening. So once again, may the best team win. Remember, we are not judging this zone and selecting the best from this zone. It is the best of the 4 preliminary zones. The best 6, so all 6 could come from one zone. So all 4 of you could go through here today if you are outstanding enough to beat those who went before and those who come in tomorrow. So the best 6 persons will go through and participate in the final, just proceeding just around our independence celebration. So thank you once again, all the best, and give your support to our young people. That's all for us from the Lions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lion Jr., for that insightful overview of the competition. Just to know that the issue with the school has been resolved. So we now move on to the competition, and I'm going to outline the rules. Each speaker shall deliver 2 speeches, 1 prepared speech and an impromptu speech. For the main speech, each speaker shall speak for a period not exceeding 10 minutes. For the impromptu speech, each speaker shall have 1 minute to consider the topic and no more than 2 minutes to present his or her topic. Any speaker who utilized less than 8 minutes of the allocated time for the main prepared speech shall have 5 points deducted from his or her total score. Participants could refer to the prepared notes from which they can make their presentation. For the main prepared speech, participants not engaged in delivering their speeches shall be absent from the room at the time the speech is being delivered, unless he or she has already delivered his speech. Now let me introduce the judges and the timekeeper. Our timekeeper is Lion Sharon Williams, ably assisted by Lion Freddie Harper. Today we have 3 judges, and I'm going to give you an overview of each one, starting with the lone female, Dr. Risa Noel McBarnett. Dr. Noel McBarnett is a dynamic senior administrative leader and educator who currently heads the University of the West Indies Global Campus in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, driving accessible, flexible, and high-quality undergraduate, graduate, and professional and continuing education programs. With 4 years as permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development, and Culture, and all your roles in the classroom, teaching, curriculum development, and public sector administration, Dr. Noel McBarnett recognizes the transformative power of effective communication in both academic and professional landscapes. A scholar holding a PhD in education from the University of Auckland, an MPhil in education from the University of Cambridge, and a Bachelor of Arts in Literatures in English from the University of the West Indies. She is also an experienced speechwriter and public speaking coach. Dr. Noel McBarnett is pleased to accept the role of adjudicator for the Lions Club St. Vincent South Secondary School's public speaking competition, an event that champions the vital skills of communication and self-expression among our youths. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Dr. Risa Noel McBarnett, and that's the only female there. Our next judge is Mr. Jimmy Ford. Mr. Ford holds a diploma in youth and social work from the Commonwealth Youth Program. He received his BSc in Human Resource Management from Springfield College, USA, an MBA from the American International College, as well as a postgraduate degree in marketing from Western Ontario University, Canada. He was awarded a certificate in advanced business strategy from Harvard University, USA. His extracurricular activities include former Vice President of the National Youth Council, former President of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent, and former producer of the National Calypso semifinals. Currently, he is a director of the Teachers Credit Union. Mr. Ford's work experience began in 1983 as a teacher. He was the general manager for the St. Vincent Marketing Corporation from 1994 to 1996, divisional manager at Corrales Hazlows Inc. from 1996 to 2015. He is currently the CEO, Chief Executive Officer at Acado, a role he undertook since 2015. And last but not least, our third judge, Mr. Utamu Rose. Mr. Rose was the National Public Speaking Champion in 2011. He was the top male performer in the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC examinations in 2012. He graduated from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College in 2014 and went on to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in Geography with honors from the University of the West Indies, UWI, Mona Campus, Jamaica in 2019. During his time at UWI Mona, Mr. Rose demonstrated exceptional leadership. He made history as the first Vincentian to serve chairman of Rex Netleford Hall and also served as a UWI Guild Counselor for the 2018-2019 academic year. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, he was awarded the prestigious UWI Mona Premier Award for Leadership in 2019. Mr. Rose is currently a lecturer in geography at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. He also serves as the coach of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Debating Society, leading the team to victory in 2012, 2022, and runner-up in 2024. From 2021 to 2023, Mr. Rose worked as a project officer at the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, and Information Technology. Beyond academics and public service, Mr. Rose is a passionate football fan and cultural enthusiast. He is also the reigning Raga Soca Monarch 2025, showcasing his versatility and talent in the performing arts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our judges a round of applause. The students today will speak on the topic, Chains of the Past. Are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? And I'm going to give you an outline of the evaluation for the main topic. The material carries a total of 20 points. The judges will be looking for, does the speaker catch your immediate interest? Are his or her ideas thought-provoking? Are they clearly organized? Has the material been carefully prepared and researched? Is the conclusion effective? For the next segment, manner carries a total of 10 points. Is he or she aware of the audience? Is he or she poised? Does he or she have distracted mannerisms? Are his or her gestures natural and sincere? Language carries 10 points. Is his or her vocabulary adequate and imaginative, or is it slangy and dull? Does his or her speech flow easily? Are there awkward hesitations? Voice carries 10 points. Is his or her voice monotonous? Does he or she vary his or her voice? Is he or she easily heard? And is his or her voice agreeable? A total of 50 points. Again, the main topic, chains of the past. Are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? Instructions for timekeeping for the main topic, the main prepared speech. The first bell will ring when the participants take the podium and is ready to present. The second bell will ring at 8 minutes, and the final bell at 10 minutes if you go over 10 minutes. With much, let's get the competition going. Those who are not speaking will be escorted from the room. That's nice. Let's welcome our first speaker from the St. Joseph's Convent, Maraca, Mr. Jadon Cupid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Lion Mitchell John, MJF, President of Lion Club, St. Vincent South, principals, teachers, judges, listeners, and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants, students, good afternoon. Chains of the past. Are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? Mr. Chairman, this is indeed a very critical time to reflect on such a question, don't you think? Especially as we draw closer to the year 2030, the target date set for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah. Historically, there can be no denying that we in the Caribbean have been profoundly shaped by slavery and colonial rule. Rigid social hierarchies and systemic inequalities were the order of the day, molding our societies through cruelty, oppression, formal and informal, visible and hidden. For centuries, our people lived under these chains, struggling to break free from enslavement, exploitation, and colonial domination. But the question before us today is not whether these chains have existed. That is an undeniable historical fact. The real question is whether have they truly disappeared. Mr. Chairman, I will argue that while we are no longer enslaved or colonized in the traditional sense, we still are not fully free. The chains of oppression have not vanished. They persist, woven into our society and embedded into our institutions and our everyday lives. And so, Mr. Chairman, if we are to measure freedom, not only by the chains that have been broken, but also by the ones that remain, we must examine carefully how oppression continues to reveal itself today. One of the clearest and most painful for examples lies in the persistent inequality between men and women, and in particular, the ongoing scourge of gender-based violence in our society today. According to the United Nations report on crime in 2019, Caribbean countries ranked 5 of the top 20 recorded rape rates in the world. This report further goes on to show that an astounding 46% of women in our Caribbean society have experienced one form of gender-based violence in their lifetime. Chains, Mr. Chairman, let's bring it home. In St.Vincent and the Grenadines, as highlighted by the United Nations Caribbean Women Initiative, on the reporting of violence against women and girls remains a serious concern. Many survivors remain silent, silenced by stigma, fear, or the belief of what happens in their community is their business and not the concern of others. The persistence of gender-based violence is not accidental. It is rooted in patriarchal systems inherited from colonial times, when women's bodies were commodified and their voices suppressed. Though women today can walk, vote, and lead, clearly progress, Mr. Chairman, the shadows of those old attitudes remains. Violence against women and girls is both a legacy of past oppression and a current public health crisis. If we look beyond the home and community, we find another powerful reminder of the past in one of our most important institutions, education. Dr. Gordon James, in his report, the colonial naval string of primary teachers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, published in November 2022, reminds that even decades after independence, the structure of our teacher education system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines still reflects the priorities of the era. The 2-year training model, largely unchanged since its introduction in the 1960s, continue to prepare teachers in ways designed for more efficiency under a colonial rule than for empowerment in a free and independent society. In effect, preparing our teachers for yesterday's needs instead of today's challenges. And what does this mean in practice, Mr. Chairman? It means classroom where rote learning still outweighs critical thinking. It means another generation growing up with little exposure to the tools of empowerment, creativity, and independent thought. In short, our freedom is incomplete because the very system that should break chains may instead be reinforcing them. But, Mr. Chairman, education does not stand alone. It connects directly to the questions of social development, opportunity, and empowerment, especially for women and marginalized groups. Dr. Nigel Brissett, in his work on education for social transformation in the Caribbean, a post-colonial perspective, published in 2018, argues that freedom cannot simply be measured by political independence or access to schools. It must also be measured by whether our systems actively dismantle inequality and create opportunities for those who have historically been left behind. Mr. Chairman, please let us think of a woman in a rural community with limited access to health care, no reliable childcare support, and little chance of securing financing to start a small business. On paper, she's free to vote, free to own property, free to dream. But in reality, her life is hemmed in by circumstances beyond our own control. Her freedom is restricted not by the whip of the overseer or by the overseer plantation, but by structural barriers which are the residue of our post-colonial legacy that leave her with even fewer chances and fewer choices. James and Brissett both highlighted the colonial nature of education in the Caribbean, showing how schools are designed to reproduce hierarchy, obedience, and loyalty to the colonizers than critical thought. Yet beyond the curriculum and content, one of the most insidious tools of colonial education was the use of corporal punishment, Mr. Chairman. As Ockabuk in his paper, Spare the Rod and Spoil the Colony, published in 2012, and I quote, Colonial governments relied on punishment to broadcast their authority, often through military barracks, schools, courts, and penal institutions. End of quote. This system of violence sought to produce subjects who would fear authority rather than to challenge it. Caribbean schools, as Bailey's studies demonstrate, still bear the scars of this system, with, and I quote, a widespread acceptance among teachers, students, and administrators of the use of corporal punishments in school. End of quote. Even though Caribbean governments are signatory to the conventions on the right of the child, their refusal to fully outlaw the practice has allowed its colonial and even slaveholding logic to persist to this day. This makes the classroom not a space of liberation, but one that mirrors the plantation and penal colony. To preserve corporal punishment, then, is not to preserve discipline. Instead, it is to preserve a cycle of domination rooted in violence of slavery and colonialism. Mr. Chairman, the chains of the past have not been shattered, but they have been simply being reforged in new and subtler ways. It is true that we no longer wear shackles of iron nor bow under the whip of the overseer. But too often we wear shackles of the system and attitudes and bow under the whips of practices that belong firmly in history. To be fully free is to demand. To be fully free is to reject slavery and colonialism, but to strip their legacy from our current reality. Freedom demands courage, the courage to reform, to resist, and to reimagine. If we are serious about confronting the remnants with honesty, if we are serious about shaping a future where chains are not simply being hidden but finally broken, we must confront these remnants with honesty and with will. Only then can we say, Mr. Chairman, that without hesitation, that we are free. Thank you.
Thank you, Jadon. Jadon spoke for 9 minutes, 35 seconds. Let's give him a round of applause. We will now welcome Braxton Lewis from the North Union Secondary School. Huh? Judges, are we ready? Welcome, Braxton.
Protocol list. Mr. Chairman, Lion Michael John, MJF, President Lions Club, St. Vincent South. Principals, teachers, judges, listeners and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants, students, a pleasant afternoon. Why, after spending 2 days with a relative in the United Kingdom, we say, "May I have a cup of tea?" instead of, "May I have some tea?" Why do we still idolize foreign goods over local grown products? Why is it easier to get a loan to import the latest foreign vehicle than to start a simple, local agribusiness right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? And tell me this, why, in a region blessed with melanin kissed by the Caribbean sun, do some still feel the need to bleach their skin to feel beautiful or accepted? Surely, Chairperson, chains rattle differently today, but they still rattle. This brings the question before us. Chains of the past, are we truly free from old forms of oppression today? First, let us define some key terms. According to the Caribbean Community Reparations Commission, 2014, the chains of the past refer to the lasting colonial era systems affecting economics, politics, and culture. The Oxford English Dictionary defines free as acting without external control. The United Nations Human Rights Council, 2018, defines oppression as a systemic power used to marginalize groups. Based on these definitions, it is clear that while significant progress has been made in areas such as governance and education, oppression has not disappeared. It has only changed form, lingering in our economies, in our societies, and in our minds. True freedom demands transformation, liberation, and unity. Long ago, Chairperson, our African ancestors wore iron shackles. Today, those shackles have been replaced by debt and financial control. In 2023, the debt of St. Vincent and the Grenadines stood at nearly 89% of GDP. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, describes this debt as sustainable but high risk, and prescribes measures that often prioritize repayment over public welfare. This, Chairperson, is modern echoes of economic oppression. Why? Because this prescription only traps small island developing states in debt, limiting their ability to invest in our people and achieve true economic freedom. We see a similar pattern across the region. In 2013, Grenada defaulted on $193 million, and the International Monetary Fund responded with prescriptions of job cuts, wage freezes, and austerity. Chairperson, how different is this from the colonial whip, when those who labored suffered most? If the plantation once enriched colonial masters, while our people remained poor, and today debt enriches creditors while we still struggle, is that freedom? Norman Govan warns us, and I quote, "The colonial economy has been replaced, but not dismantled," end of quote. Chairperson, we may no longer break our backs, we may no longer wear iron chains, but we still break our backs for a global system built not for our independence, but for our dependence. Chairperson, during slavery and colonialism, society was rigidly divided by both color and status. Lighter skin brought favor, while darker skin meant ostracism. And even after emancipation, wealth and social standing became the new measures of worth. Dr. Keith Nurse of the University of the West Indies has demonstrated through his research that colorism continues to shape Caribbean societies. Supporting this, a 2020 survey revealed that lighter-skinned applicants were 15% more likely to be hired for managerial positions than their darker-skinned peers. Today, it is evident that the plantation hierarchy has collapsed, but its logic remains. Chairperson, this obsession with lighter skin is not merely about beauty. It is about status and opportunity, a continuation of colonial hierarchies. No wonder the global skin lightening industry is projected to reach $24 billion by 2030. Additionally, we proudly call ourselves one people, heirs of Chatillon's bravery and our ancestors' resilience. Yet we still whisper about who is high class and who is country bookie. The narrative of house versus field divisions remain etched in our language and our minds. Chairperson, are we truly free from this chain, or still divided by invisible walls of complexion and class? Chairperson, the mind remains a battleground of oppression, echoing Bob Marley's timeless call to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. This form of oppression remains perhaps the heaviest burden of all, because it is invisible, it is internal, and it convinces the oppressed to regulate themselves. Consider cultural inferiority. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we buy imported products, even when local options are available. We speak of our own dialects as broken English, while praising foreign accents as ideal. Chairperson, this is no accident. It is the direct result of centuries of being taught that African heritage is backward and that European culture is the gold standard. Moreover, Professor Rex Nuttallford once warned that colonial schooling left us alienated from ourselves. This cannot be more true. By glorifying European history and ignoring Caribbean heroes such as Marcus Garvey and Joseph Chatoyer, education promotes admiration of the foreign and erases local heritage, reinforcing mental slavery. Chairperson, before I am accused of dwelling on negativity, let me be fair. There have been undeniable strides. Take governance, for example. As citizens of a sovereign state, today, Vincentians are no longer voiceless as we can exercise the democratic right to vote, to participate in civil society, and to hold leaders accountable. Furthermore, education also tells a story of progress. Where once enslaved Africans were deliberately denied literacy, today, education is a right, not a privilege. Initiatives such as the One Laptop Per Child program in our country have sought to close the digital divide and equip our young people with the tools of the modern world. The government in our country has introduced tuition scholarships and disadvantaged loans to ensure lower-income students do not face financial or social barriers to higher education, aiming to dismantle colonial inequalities and provide new opportunities for advancement. Chairperson, to break free from the chains of the past, the Caribbean must implement targeted transformative strategies. Economically, we must invest in agro-processing, renewable energy, and digital innovation, which will help to reduce dependency and create sustainable jobs. Socially, reforming education to integrate local and Caribbean history alongside anti-discrimination laws, dismantling classism and colorism. Chairperson, we have to decolonize school curricula, promote local languages, and fund creative industries in order to foster pride and psychological liberation. All of this can become a reality when CARICOM and OACS unite to strengthen resilience, harmonize policies, and empower a self-reliant Caribbean. To conclude, Chairperson, though colonial plantations have crumbled, their values linger. Debt, colorism, and the mental chains continue to shape our lives. Are we truly free from old oppression? Not yet. Freedom is not just a destination, but a decision to unlearn imposed values, reclaim our economies and identities, and to honor our ancestors by forging paths they could not. Though chains may still rattle, I believe that with courage, unity, and conscious will, true liberation is possible. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, I thank you.
Thank you, Braxton. Braxton spoke for 9 minutes, 28 seconds. Students in the audience, I'm asking you to remain quiet so as not to distract the speaker and the judges. Thank you. Judges, are we ready? Okay. Our next speaker is from the Beckway Anglican High School, Haley Thomas. Let's welcome her. This is on. I go. Huh? Okay, it is working.
Yeah, thank you. Li- Lion Michael John, MJF, President, Lions Club, St. Vincent, South, principals, teachers, judges, listeners, and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants, students, good afternoon. Chains of the past. Are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? This is a complex, philosophical, and sociological question with a simple answer. It brings to mind a famous song by the late great Bob Marley. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free our minds. Mr. Chairman, are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? I say no, absolutely not. While our societies have advanced rapidly, especially in the last 50 years, the old forms of oppression have evolved into systems and processes that are sometimes difficult to distinguish. As a result, they continue to subjugate various groups of people, limiting their true potential, growth, and success. Through systematic racism and economic inequality, patriarchy, and gender disparity. The historical forms of oppression are mentally imprinted to ensure generations are kept passive. Mr. Chairman, we must briefly dissect the phrase, all forms of oppression, as an understanding of this phrase helps us to grasp the glaring truth. They still exist. What is oppression? Oxford Language 2025 defines oppression as prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or exercise of authority by a dominant group. Synonyms include subjugation, repression, domination, and harassment. All forms refer to historical structures, something in its original or past state, outdated style or method. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, the phrase suggests the dehumanizing activities such as slavery, racism, and male dominance carried out in the early 18th and 19th centuries. Do they exist today? Do we see slavery in our daily lives? Of course, Mr. Chairman, but naturally, like all things with time. Change is inevitable. However, though its form may disguise its ugly, remains exactly the same. The Karens, localized police brutality, the wanton abuse of our women and girls, child labor, nepotism, colonial laws that protect the political and financial elite. The glass ceiling, and the list goes on. The ugly remains. Mr. Chairman, we see all forms of oppression entrenched as systemic racism and economic inequality in our societies, according to a UN in the Caribbean article titled The Legacy of Slavery in the Caribbean and the Journey Towards Justice 2022. Institutional racism and colorism continues to be a critical force explaining the persistence of white economic dominance. This institutional racism is visible in the banks, the business sector, private enterprise, and even political spaces in SVG, where only persons of a certain color, surname, political affiliation, or status advance even in the face of obstructing law and order. According to a 2023 article by the Inter-American Development Bank titled, The Complexities of Inequality in Latin America and the Caribbean, economic inequality in the Caribbean and indeed SVG is characterized by high economic income inequality, with the region being among the most unequal in the world. There is no specific information for SVG. It goes on to say that the top 10% of highest earners make an average of 12 times more than the poorest 10%. Mr. Chairman, we still operate under colonial laws designed to keep us poor. Ever tried opening a bank account or collecting cash from one of the money transfer services? The process of tedious and deliberately bureaucratic. Why, standing in front of you, do I require 2 pieces of ID to prove who I am? Try opening a small business or getting a loan to open one. Paperwork, extortion, colonial laws, and political interference sit at the entrance to potential success. All these actions within the wealth gap. Who is at the top of that gap? According to a 2021 publication by UNDP titled Trapped, Inequality and Economic Growth in Latin America and the Caribbean, and a 2023 article titled Unequal Opportunities for Indigenous Peoples and African Descendants by the Inter-American Development Bank. Indigenous people and African descendants often face higher poverty rates and lower wealth accumulation due to historical disadvantages and a lack of mobility within the wealth distribution. The same people who experienced slavery 300 years later are still suffering in an oppressive system designed to keep us broken. Interestingly, Mr. Chairman, perhaps the greatest recent examples of how entrenched systemic racism can be found in Karen, a term used to describe a white female who feels she is entitled, privileged. She is most active, especially in the USA, and is visible on numerous news media almost weekly. She calls the police for fantasies, fallacies, half-truths, even dreams, through tantrums, and they respond with precision and accuracy. A luxury most people of color do not and have not had, even in dire circumstances. Karen is supported by an aging white aristocracy making a last-ditch attempt to have the re-emerge of the Jim Crow era. Mr. Chairman, oppression takes many forms as bad as systemic racism is. Patriarchy and gender inequality further the ideas of historical oppression. The glass ceiling is yet to shatter. According to the 2023 World Bank report on the region of gender inequality in the OECS, I quote, women outperform men in school enrollment, completion, and attainment rates at all levels. However, women's educational success has resulted in better economic opportunities. End of quote. The report identifies 5 areas of weakness. Women struggle to transition from school to work, being forced into low-paying positions, limited access to finance for their entrepreneurial ventures, limited political representation, and the high incidence of being affected by natural hazards. In SVG, gender inequality has improved in some areas. However, of the classes of people most often abused, Mr. Chairman, Black women generally and Black Vincentian women locally are at the top. Crimes and laws against homosexual and classism are all forms of repression that exist in our society, stemming from historical forms of repression. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, historical oppression has rooted itself into our very psyche. The fabric of our society in forms of systematic racism, economic inequality, patriarchy, and gender disparity. There is still light at the end of the tunnel. Technology has created a paradigm shift globally, empowering marginalized people to speak up and demand more. Oppression may not totally disappear, but it will definitely become less of a control mechanism, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. Haley spoke for 9 minutes, 8 seconds. Judges, we will now welcome the final student in this main speech. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Joshua Samuel from the Mountain View Adventist Academy.
Lion Michael John, MGF, President, Lions Club St.Vincent, South, Principals, teachers, judges, listeners and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants, students, good afternoon. I want you to picture with me a heavy rusted iron chain, the kinds our ancestors dragged through the cane field. Let this imagery remain vivid in our minds today as we delve into the topic of discussion. Chains of the past. Are we truly free from old forms of oppression today? I want to posit that we are not truly free of old forms of oppression. In fact, they coexist with new invisible forms that produce the same oppression and widespread systemic underdevelopment. The invisible chains operate in social, economic, cultural, ideological, political, and technological spheres, creating the aforementioned negative effects. I will also present practical solutions that can work in our Caribbean context to dismantle and nullify the system and effects of oppression that pervade Caribbean societies. Chairperson, to properly address this question, we must first establish a clear understanding of what oppression truly means. Political philosopher Iris Young, 2014, provides a crucial framework defining oppression as the systematic and institutional constraints that reduce a group's potential for self-determination and flourishing. She identifies 5 phases of oppression: exploitation, marginalization, powerlessness, cultural imperialism, and systemic violence. This is not merely about individual acts of discrimination, but about embedded structures that limit freedom through economic, social, psychological, and political means. We are the first generation born into independent Caribbean nations. We grew up with our own flags and anthems. Yet today, I must ask a question that requires courage. Are we truly free, or have the chains just become harder to see? Chairperson, to answer this, we must understand modern oppression. It's not just individual acts of bias, but embedded systems that limit freedom. This framework resonates deeply with our Caribbean reality. Chairperson, our ancestors broke the visible chains. The brutality of chattel slavery, the economic trap of the plantation, and the cultural violence that suppressed our languages. Their struggle was against a clear enemy. Our struggle is against less visible but no less real constraints. Let's examine how oppression manifests in our current reality across multiple dimensions. Firstly, Chairperson, economic oppression still exists today through what economist George Beckford in 1972 called persistent poverty. This does not just mean a lack of money or resources, but a system that keeps people dependent and limits their freedom and control. Beckford explains that this kind of poverty continues because the structures and systems created during the plantation era. Chairperson, the statistics are stark. The Caribbean has one of the world's highest debt to GDP ratios, averaging 85% according to World Bank 2023, with some nations exceeding 100%. This forces our governments to service foreign debt over investing in our schools and hospitals. This stranglehold fuels a brain drain. Data from the Caribbean Development Bank 2021 shows approximately 40% of Caribbean university graduates emigrate within 5 years of graduation. Are we not essentially educating our brightest minds for export? Secondly, Chairperson, social oppression manifests in more intimate but equally powerful ways throughout communities. The lingering poison of colorism continues to privilege lighter skin tone in employment, media representation, and social mobility, a direct legacy of the plantation's racial hierarchy. Chairperson, it is not uncommon to hear a dark-skinned grandmother treating her lighter-skinned grandchild as though she is better than the light-skinned one, dark-skinned one. Look how pretty this child be. She get good hair, she get light skin. She going go far. Now you little girl, stay out of the sun, you get into black. Thirdly, Chairperson, mental health stigma forces our youths to suffer in silence. The Caribbean Development Bank 2021 reports that 56% of youth know peers who need psychological support but are afraid to seek it, a reflection of unaddressed historical trauma. Linguistic discrimination labels our rich Creole languages as broken, telling our people their authentic voice is unworthy, even if we can clearly understand each other. This is reinforced by a colonization of the mind. As Frantz Fanon articulated in Black Skin, White Mass, this creates a profound psychological imprisonment where we internalize racial shame. Our education system, through what Sylvia Wynter calls the coloniality of knowledge, often center European thinkers while marginalizing our own Caribbean intellectuals. But this oppression doesn't stop there, Chairperson. It goes further. Environmental oppression is a profound injustice. We contribute less than 1% of global emissions, yet bear the brunt of a climate change. The Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, EC-LAC 2022, estimates climate disasters have cost the region over $100 billion in damage since the year 2000. Why should our nations be brought to their knees by a crisis we didn't create? Another critical dimension is gender-based oppression. It sees the Caribbean woman facing intersecting burdens. The UN Women Caribbean Office 2023 reports women's unemployment rates are 1.5 times higher than men's. And intimate partner violence affects approximately 1 in every 3 women, according to CARICOM statistics. What an unfortunate reality that plagues the women we love in our societies. Furthermore, Chairperson, digital age has introduced digital colonialism, where foreign tech giants such as Google and Amazon harvest our online data and shape our online spaces. Even our relationship with food represents a form of oppression. We import over 60% of our food, according to FAO 2021, suffering from culinary imperialism that severs us from traditional healthy foodways. We have consequently developed a taste for foreign delicious and neglected local nutritious. Despite this multidimensional, we are not victims. Our history is one of resistance. Our ancestors' sacred task was breaking physical chains. Our generation's critical mission is to dismantle these psychological, economic, and digital ones. Chairperson, solutions are within our grasp. We must, 1, grow our own food and rely less on imports. 2, make mental health easy to access in every community. 3, teach and value our local languages in school. 4, develop technology policies that serve Caribbean interests. 5, stand up for climate justice and push for reparations. And 6, create fair policies that support both genders. In conclusion, it is evident and unfortunate, Madam Chairperson, that as Caribbean nationals, we are still in many ways bound by the chains of our colonial past and neo-colonial present. We must seek purposefully to continually erode and dismantle and throw off the invisible remnants of those chains. It is incumbent on us to create a Caribbean that is truly free and truly independent. With ardent vigor and wisdom, let us complete the struggle against oppression that was started by our ancestors. Those chains we imagine at the beginning are still binding us. It's time that we put them off. Chairperson, I thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Joshua spoke for 9 minutes, 47 seconds. Let's give another round of applause for the students. That aspect of the competition is now closed. That was the main topic, and we'll now move into the impromptu session, which I'm sure all of us are looking forward to with excitement. So I will just crave your indulgence in remaining silent so as not to distract the students and the judges. The instructions for the impromptu segment. The first bell will ring when the participant takes the podium after selecting his or her topic. The second bell at the end of 1 minute when the participant begins. Third and final bell at the end of 3 minutes. Total time is calculated as the total time spent at the podium, and the speech time is the total time minus the preparation time, which is 2 minutes. While we await the judge's signal to begin. Okay. So our first speaker, Mr. Jaden Cupid from the St. Joseph's Convent, Morocco, will pick his topic from the bag. His topic is physical education.
All right. Can be defined as the act of taking part in physical activities such as running, jumping, playing sports such as cricket and football. Physical education overall can improve your heart. For some people with some heart condition, taking part in physical activities can help to improve your heart by making it stronger and prevent the chances of you getting heart diseases. PE also provides as a hobby for some of those who need a different activity in life to do. So if you are free or needs to break a bad habit, you could take part in, say, running or track and field in general. P can create a career path for those of us who are interested in sports and academic. It also can help a person to become overall better and healthier. Personally, I believe P to be one of the most important subjects in school, as it also helps to promote teamwork, socialize, and it helps person to socialize for those of us who are not all as sociable. It also helps us to become overall better and more complete as humans. Also, finally, I believe that P is very important to us as humans, and as we all know, we are very sociable beings, so we need to be social with our neighbors and need to be more caring and loving. Thank you.
Jaden spoke for 1 minute, 38 seconds. We'll now welcome Braxton Lewis from the North Union Secondary School to select his topic. He has selected My Morning Routine. My morning routine.
Protocol having already been established. Good afternoon, listening audience, viewers, and esteemed judges. My topic is my morning routine. I usually wake up between 5 and 6 a.m., ensuring that I have enough time to prepare for school, or if on weekends, that I have time to eat and prepare to go outside for my daily activities. Usually on weekdays, I cool off for about, let's say, 50 minutes before I take a shower, ensuring that my body is prepared to take a shower, because usually I hear my guardian, I don't know about the rest of you here, with your grandparents and sorts, they say you must cool off your skin before you take a shower, or, oh, you might catch a stroke. After my shower, I dress for school, or on weekends, I put on my clothes and I help my friend go downhill and chop some grass for the sheep. Now, my daily routine isn't anything special. I'm sure most of you here on the countryside have something similar. But one thing that is important for sure, a routine really does matter. It keeps your daily life in order, ensures that you know what you're going to do when you're going to do it. And I'd like to end this speech on a question. What is your daily routine like? And what is by far the best thing you like to do for your daily routine? Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you, Braxton. He spoke for 1 minute, 52 seconds. Next is Haley Thomas from the Beckway Anglican High School. Haley's topic is slangs. 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 Slangs.
As in words you use. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, to be honest, I am not fully aware of the word slang, but I think I have an idea whether it's the words we use to make other words shorter or easier. Well, I think it's important, you know. Whether you're sending a message, you want to tell somebody something in a shorter way, they say be right back, and you put BRB. So certain person, older person might wonder, what I mean, you know? And then the younger ones, which might know about all these short words, will be like, you don't know that? Be right back, as in the shorter term for BRB. I think they make, I think they make messaging more easier. As I said, to make words more easier and shorter, sorry, I can't. Thank you.
Haley spoke for 2 minutes, 4 seconds. We'll now welcome our final speaker from the Mountain View Academy. Mountain View Adventist Academy, Mr. Joshua Samuel, to select his topic. Summer vacation. Summer vacation.
Protocol has already been established. The topic I have chosen is summer vacation. In my speech, I'm going to define what summer vacation is and give you things I do in my summer vacation. Summer vacation is a holiday or a month of holidays that you do with things you do in your summer. A list of things I do in my summer is my favorite, which is playing football. You know, playing football and playing video games, they are competing. I read sometimes, rarely. I go to church on Saturdays with my parents, my families. I love to go on hikes, you know, travel up mountains, go into waterfalls and all those different things. Summer is fun, and I believe summer is a debate to others in which is better, either summer or Christmas. And I still kind of have trouble picking, but I still rather summer. Summer is one of the best because it's a break from school, you know. All that break from school, it just makes you feel relaxed. And we love summer because we are free. You wake up at sometimes which time you want, depending on where you have to go in the day. And you could eat anytime you want. You don't have to wait on school bells to ring for you to get something to eat. You could sleep whenever you want also. You don't have to wait on all those things. So I love summer because I always have the time to be free and do what I want to do. I thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. He spoke for 1 minute, 54 seconds. So that brings us to the end of our competition on the main topic, which was chains of the past. Are we truly free from all forms of oppression today? And impromptu speech, where each student selected their topic. We will now move quickly into the presentation of certificates for the participants, and we will do so in order of appearance. So we will now welcome We'll now welcome our President, Lion Michael John, MGF, to hand out the certificates, assisted by our Secretary, Lion Sumona Moses. Jaden Cupid from the St. Joseph's Convent, Maracay. Broxton Braxton Lewis from the North Union Secondary School. Followed by Haley Thomas from the Beckwith Anglican High School. And last but not least, Mr. Joshua Samuel from the Mountain View Adventist Academy. Now to our vote of thanks. I would like to thank everyone who are present here today for gracing us with their presence. We'd also like to thank our 3 judges for taking time out from their busy schedule to be here. Students, teachers, and teachers who assisted, thank you. To the students, I know it's not easy to be up here delivering a speech in front of an audience. Some of us get nervous, but you give it your best shot. Also, we'd like to thank Flo for the continued sponsorship, VC3 and Nice Radio for live broadcast, Lion Sharon and Lion Freddy for assisting with timekeeping. For some announcements, the competition, the preliminaries continues tomorrow, and we have 5 schools participating: Thomas Saunders Secondary School, Bookament-based Secondary School, Central Leeward Secondary School, Chumuka Secondary School, and the Pitty Bordell Secondary School. They will debate the topic, ensuring full participation from persons with disabilities means giving them a seat at the table. Is inclusivity a foreign concept? Also, the finals will be held, the finals of the 6 persons from the 4 preliminary rounds will be selected for the finals, which will take place on the 30th of October, commencing at 7 a.m. at the Methodist Church Hall, Kingston. 7 p.m., sorry. Thanks for the correction. At the Methodist Church Hall, Kingston. Once again, thank you all and hope to see you guys tomorrow. This concludes the end of today's activity.